Welcome to Online Math. In this lesson, we're going to look at Pythagoras' theorem, finding the unknown side when hypotenuse is given. Find the length of the unknown side, giving your answer correct to one decimal place. So let's take a look at this triangle right here. We have a right angle. One of the side is 3 centimeters long and the other one is 6 centimeters long, and the top bit over here is missing a value. So that tells us that this is the unknown side and this length is what we're looking for. Now when using a Pythagoras theorem, so it is c squared equals to a squared plus b squared. The c squared is hypotenuse, and the a and the b are the other two sides of the triangle. So step 1 is to identify which of these 3 sides is the hypotenuse. How do we find the hypotenuse? It is always opposite to the right angle. So the right angle is sitting right here. So the side opposite to it would be this length here. So 6 centimeters, this is the hypotenuse. So I'm going to write hypotenuse and I'm going to call it C because hypotenuse has to be C. Now, it doesn't matter whether I call my 3A or my unknown side A because the two side lengths, you can put A or B. It's just that with the hypotenuse, it has to be C. So I'm going to call my 3 centimeters A and the unknown B. So B is what I'm looking for. Then start to plug in the values that you know. Do I know my C? Yes, I do. It is 6 centimeters. Do I know the value for A? Yup, it is 3. And B, I don't know what it is because that's what I'm looking for. So let's start to substitute the values in. Hypotenuse is 6 centimeters, so it is 6 squared. And A is 3. And B, I don't know, so I'm going to leave it as B because that's what we're looking for. Then, if we want to find the value of B squared and ultimately B for our final answer, we need to make sure that in an equation, B squared is sitting on one side by itself. At the moment, we have 3 squared sitting on the right-hand side with the B squared. So I need to get rid of the 3 squared. How do I do that? 3 squared is a positive number, so I need to do the opposite. So I need to take away 3 squared from both sides, and I'll show you how to do that. So 6 squared equals to 3 squared plus b squared. And I'm going to take away 3 squared from both sides, so minus 3 squared and minus 3 squared. On the right-hand side, 3 squared minus 3 squared equals to 0, so we can cancel it out. And on the left-hand side, we have 6 squared minus 3 squared. Using your calculator, what is 6 squared minus 3 squared? It is equal to 27. And on the right-hand side, I now have b squared left. We're looking for b because that is the length over here. So we need to square root both sides. Square root 27, square root b squared. Square root of b squared is equal to b. And if you check with your calculator, square root of 27 will give you a decimal number. And that is because 27 is not a square number, meaning the same two numbers cannot multiply to give you 27. Okay, so square root of 27 is 5.1961 and it goes on. And so that's why the question said to get the answer correct to one decimal place. So we've got to round it to one decimal place. So let's round it up. It is going to be 5.2. What that tells us is that B, this length over here, is about 5.2 centimeters. And this is how you find the length of the unknown side when hypotenuse is given. Let's solve a few more questions together. So in this triangle, we're looking for the unknown side, the one that does not have the length indicated. So we're looking for this length over here. Another side is 8 centimeters long and the other side is 10 centimeters long. So first step is to identify which one is the hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is opposite to the right angle, so we know that this 10 centimeter is the hypotenuse. So let's call it C. What I know, I'm going to call it A. And what I'm looking for, I'm going to call it B. And let's write out the Pythagoras theorem, which is c squared equals to a squared plus b squared. Then start to substitute the values. So fill in the information that you know. C is 10, A is 8, and B unknown. So we're going to leave it as B. So let's do that. C is 10 squared, A is 8 squared, and B squared. Now, to find B, we need to leave B alone by itself. So we're going to get rid of the 8 squared from both sides. 8 squared is a positive number, so we've got to subtract 8 squared from both sides. So first, let's rewrite what we have, leaving a little space so that we can subtract and then take away 8 squared from both sides. On the right-hand side, we've got 8 squared minus 8 squared. That's going to give us 0, so cancel it out. And that gives us b squared. And on the left-hand side, we have 10 squared minus 8 squared, and that's going to give us 36. So now 36 equals to b squared. We're looking for b, so we need to get rid of the squared. And to get rid of the squared, we have to square root. So let's square root both sides. So this symbol here is called square root. And what is the square root of b squared? It is equal to b. What is the square root of 36? You know that if you know your square numbers, you know that the square root of 36 is going to equal to 6. But if you have a calculator that you can use, you can check with your calculator. So the square root of 36 will give you 6. Now, if you don't know your square numbers, that means something times something will give you 36. And this something and something has to be the same number. So you know that 6 times 6 will give you 36. And that is why the square root of 36 equals to 6. So now we have our final answer. B is equal to 6 centimeters. And that means that this length over here, this side, is equal to 6 centimeters. With this triangle right here, we have one of the side length that is 7 meters long and the other one 11 meters long. And this bottom bit right here is what we're looking for. So I'm going to put a question mark to say that this is what we're looking for. Step 1, let's go ahead and label the sides and identify where the hypotenuse is. Hypotenuse is opposite to the right angle, so we know that 11 meters, this is the hypotenuse. So let's write hypotenuse and call it C. Now before, I've been labeling what I'm looking for as B, but I spoke about how with our Pythagoras theorem, if I were to just rewrite that first, so I said that C has to be hypotenuse and that A and B can be just one of the sides of the triangle that is not the hypotenuse. And all this time I've been labeling B as the length that I was looking for. So this question, I will try and use A as what I'm looking for to show you that it works and it doesn't matter what you label. Just make sure that hypotenuse is always C. So with this triangle, let's label what I know B so that I do differently to the questions that I've done previously and what I'm looking for A. Then begin to fill in what you know. So C is 11, A is what I'm looking for this time, and B is 7. So C is 11 squared, A is unknown, and B is 7 squared. Then you're looking for A squared, so you want to get rid of the 7 squared so that A is sitting by itself. To get rid of the positive 7 squared, do the opposite, which is to minus 7 squared from both sides. So let's rewrite the equation, leaving a bit of a room to minus 7 squared and minus 7 squared from both sides. And what you want is now achieved because 7 squared minus 7 squared, right here, it becomes 0. So cancel it out, and that leaves you with the a squared that you want alone on the right-hand side. On the left, I have 11 squared minus 7 squared. And if you were to use a calculator to check and see, that equals to 72. So write 72, and that equals to a squared. I'm looking for a, so I need to square root both sides. So square root both sides and square root both sides. And on the right-hand side, square root of a squared is equal to a. And to check and see what square root of 72 equals to, it is 8.4852, and it goes on. So it's a decimal number. If I want to write my answer to 1 decimal place, I've got to round it up, and this becomes 8.5. So this unknown side length over here, which I labeled A, is about 8.5 meters long. Hope you found today's lesson on Pythagoras theorem helpful. Like and subscribe for more videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.